Hi guys, and welcome to the next part of our tutorial here. So in the previous two tutorials we'd already built up this the basic helmet, our cap which goes on top of it here, and we've also then made this little device which also goes on the top, which is going to have some cameras or laser beams or something on. We'll figure that out later. So this should be as far as you've got now with the tutorial so far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the visor, which is going to actually be really easy to do. First of all, I just want to name this. We'll call this our top device, or device top, sorry. So I'll stay together. And if we make our original head visible, there it is inside our head. Now we want a visor, so we're going to use the head for this. So we'll Shift D to make a duplicate, enter. So we should now have a duplicate of our head. Hold on. What would that be? On the top. Okay, let's just do that again. Shift D to duplicate. Now there we go. Now I made the duplicate this time. Okay, so we're going to call this the visor. So there's our visor here. We'll go into edit mode. Now our visor isn't going to come all the way down to the bottom of this head, I don't think. I want to make it just come down halfway. So we'll deselect again the pieces that we want to keep. So the pieces of our visor that we wish to maintain are going to be here. It's going to be a very basic visor, and we also want to go maybe 2 to the back there. Alright, and then we probably also want to get a couple inside of the helmet as well. So that our edges will look good. So we'll also remove those. This here that we want to keep. Alright, I think we want to go 3 back. 3 on each side. Okay, let's put our helmet back in. Okay. So there we have now our visor, which is what the pieces that we're going to keep. So we'll hit X to remove our faces, and there is our visor. You may want to come back an additional 2 here on the side. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Delete our faces. There we go. Alright. So there is our visor. Probably also want to come up here. Okay. That's right now. X, faces. Okay, there we go. Alright. So later on when we animate it, it's going to be hinged probably around this pivot point here, so that the whole thing will slide back into the head. Well, this is good for now. Now I want to actually create an area here where the nose would be, so let's put our head back in. So the nose would probably be somewhere around the middle here, so we'll grab our vertexes and let's move this vertex, but we're going to snap it to the surface of the object behind so that it's not going to snap to the face. There. Okay, so we'll bring that up a little bit. Now when we apply our smoothing, it will smooth out that into a nice bend for us. But I'm going to add into here an edge loop cut. Same on the other side. And then I'm going to drag these two up a little bit as well. Whoops. And I'll probably move this in a little bit. Don't worry about getting the symmetry perfect, because I'll put a like a symmetry onto this later. Okay, let's throw our subdivision surface modifier onto there. Hide our head, and there's our basic visor shape there. Smooth shading, and that's it. So this is a flat piece. It's not got any depth to it, thickness to it right now. So we'll add a little bit of thickness to it, because obviously our glass wouldn't be perfectly flat. So we'll come back over here into our edit mode, select all of our faces. We're going to do the same basically as we've done before. We hit extrude, and we're going to just extrude it out a very small amount. And we'll do that by hitting all, extrude, enter, S for scale. We need to turn off our snapping. It's important, otherwise it makes a mess of everything. So make sure your snapping is turned off before you do this. All, extrude, enter, scale, and we're going to scale it just a very small amount. Don't want our visor to be too thick. Okay. Now I just want to get rid of this rounded corner on the bottom of my visor. I want that to be more square. So it's just a simple matter again of adding our edge loops as we've done before. Just add that in for our holding geometry there. Back to our edit mode, and then now we just have a sharper front edge to our visor, which is a little bit better. Maybe subdivide this another one so we keep this curve here. Might be unnecessary to do so many subdivisions. What we'll do is we'll just add in a couple of extra loop cuts here. Then we can smooth everything off. Let's make that a little bit more rounded. Yeah, I think we'll just go for extra subdivision there. Okay. I'm going to throw onto here this symmetry, so we make sure everything's symmetrical. Now our edge here is a little bit hard. This should be glass, so our symmetry modifier actually ruined that up for us a little bit. We'll just go back, probably remove those two edge loops. Yeah, okay. Pretty much good with that. So there's our visor done. So we're starting to really form up a good shape here now, and features. It's starting to become recognizable as an actual helmet. Now I want some additional area at the back here. So again, let's make our head visible. And we'll create a duplicate of this, hide our original head, and we'll call this the rear or helmet rear. Okay, so again we jump into our edit mode and we're just going to do the same as what we've done before. We just deselect the vertices which we wish to keep, and once we've done that, we delete the ones that we don't want, and we perform an extrusion and a scale to keep the pieces that we desire and add thickness to it. So I don't want a lot here, probably just that would be enough, might even be too much. Yeah, we'll just go as far as there. I think that should be sufficient for the rear. Okay, now we'll hide our helmet, and we just want to go one deep all the way around so that we have a nice transition between the two. Remember, the inside of the helmet is going to be hidden away from view, so we're not too fussed about what the inside looks like. Okay, so let's delete those faces that we don't want. There's the rear of our helmet, and select all, extrude, enter, scale, scale this up slightly. Now again, I don't want this to be too thick. That's probably enough. Add our subdivision surface modifier again, and we set our shading to smooth. Okay, so there's the rear piece of our helmet done. It's really starting to come together now. It's starting to look like something which is wearable. Let's put our head back into view there. Okay. Now I want to start building up the features here on the side. Let's just save this, and we'll go over to our final helmet. Okay, so now we want to start basically building up this side part here. This like accessory rail which is going to come around the head. So we want to build this up so that we can then start applying our accessories to it. So this rail here, we're going to start by using part of the head, which will enlarge, and then we're just going to extrude along the edge here to make our front rail. So we'll go back to our file here. So again, we're going to choose our head, make it visible. Just hide these parts for now that we don't need. Okay, duplicate it. We'll hide, and this will be our helmet rail, our accessory rail, let's say. Okay, let's put the helmet top, the visor we can leave out. Let's put the main helmet in again. Alright, so this rail is going to curve around the back of the head and then extend along here. So probably what we wish to do is select the curved parts here at the rear that we want. Or another way that we could actually form this would be to extrude a shape along a path. That would be another way. But I'm going to do this just by modeling this, by taking this rear part here. So our rail is probably going to be this section of the head. Now for this, I actually only want to come halfway, because I'm going to apply a mirror modifier to it. It'll make things simpler. So we'll just take this part of the rail. I think it wants to come around further, probably as far as here. Maybe even a little bit further than that. Because this side here we want to be flat, so we don't want to take all of this geometry, because otherwise we end up with a curved side, and actually what we want is a flat side coming out of here. That's probably enough. Okay. Delete those faces. Select all. Scale that up. Let's put our objects back in now so that we can get the scale of this correct. Okay, that's maybe a little bit too much. Scale it down. Okay, now we're going to put in our modifier, which is the mirror, and in our mirror objects we're going to choose the helmet, or let's choose the head as the, or the helmet as the part there, and select the correct part here. I want the mirror on the x-axis. Now it's mirroring from our center point, which is a little bit off. So we probably need to adjust where the center point of our object is, because we're not mirroring right now from the middle. We're actually mirroring from a side part there. Let's just delete that. Okay. We'll make this rail using a different method. Let's grab a cylinder. We'll create a new cylinder here. Okay. Let's go to our top view. We'll position the cylinder where we want it. Here, let's scale it up until we've got it curving around our rail, curving around our head, sorry, where we desire it to be. Okay, probably something like this. Scale it down to the height of our rail. Okay, that's looking good. Alright, make it a little bit tighter in at the back there. Alright, that's going to be our rail. Now let's go into edit mode and we can remove the faces now that we do not want. So that'll be the top face, the bottom face, and from the front we're going to remove, oops, hold on. Wait, I want to deselect, sorry, the parts that we want to keep. So let's go to our back view. And we want to keep these parts here. Now I'm going to use the mirror modifier. See, now our origin is in the center of this. So when we apply our mirror modifier, everything should be correct. Just as far as there. Should be far enough. Okay. So remove those faces. Add our mirror modifier. There we go. Clip. And our mirror object will be around the head, the helmet. No mirror object, just keep it like that. Okay. Now, I want to flatten this off a little bit. So, grab this, go to our right side view, or left side view, sorry. And we'll pull that out. Probably to about here. There's our flat side. Now you can see that it's coming out at a bit of an angle, so we want to straighten that up. So we'll go to our top view, and this is actually going to come more like that. And the side of our head there. Now we probably also want to adjust this one. Everything to be a little bit closer into the head. Just go around and adjust these until we are happy with how it looks. I don't want it to be too close to the head. I want a small gap there, but I don't want it to be too far away either. Back can be a little bit flat. And when we add our smoothing anyway, it'll smooth all that off. Okay, so there's our basic visor shape there. Now we're not quite centered, are we? You see it's disappearing inside there a little bit. So let's go back to our top view. Grab our object and shift it over a little bit. Maybe scale in our X dimension. There we go. Okay. I'm kind of good with that now. Right. So now we just want to add some thickness and volume to this. So we do it in exactly the same way that we've done the others. Edit mode, faces, select all our faces, extrude, and we're going to extrude it out. There we go. Okay, now I just want to straighten up that front edge. So again, we'll grab the front edge to our top view and we drag it forwards. And there we go. That's looking good. Let's add in our subdivision surface modifier. Now you can see that really makes a mess. We really want to keep the hard edges, so we have to go in and add our edge loops as we've done before, because I want this to be square. So we'll head back over into our edit mode there, and tools, go into our subdivision loop cuts, the front here, I'm going to make it quite tight because I want quite a sharp edge. There, now you'll see we've kept our sharp edge. Choose to shade it smooth. Maybe up the number of subdivisions. 2 is enough. Still keeps a relatively simple mesh. If we go to 3, see it begins to complicate things quite a lot more. So we'll keep that down at 2. We don't want to end up with too many polygons. So that's quite good. I'm quite happy with that. I may want to move it in at the front, maybe slightly. So we'll just select all these faces. The front there. That's our top view, and we'll, whoops, must be missing some faces. Vertices. Yeah, I'm missing some vertexes there, so just make sure that we've got everything. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now when I go to my top view and I drag this across, still missing some. Okay, there we go. Right. Yeah, I just want to move that over a little bit so it's angled inwards slightly, so it keeps a little bit closer to the head. Okay. So there we go, there's the beginning of our rails. We'll just rename this cylinder to the helmet rail. And there we go. So you can see the model's really starting to develop along now. We continue in the same basic method, you know, creating these pieces where we extrude them from flat parts or from sections of our base helmet. And this method is keeping our mesh pretty standardized, so it's going to be relatively easy to UV map this later, because we haven't really got any funky subdivisions and polygons in there, so we may not even need to retopologize it. We'll find out later on, but you know, the mesh is pretty good as it stands. We've got quite a lot of square features in there, and not many five-sided or triangles, which is really what you want when it comes to the UV mapping later. So just to check this out, let's add in some shading to this, and we'll throw on a matte cap, material cap, and let's change the material to something reflective there. So there's a chromium kind of metal reflective type of effect to the helmet, and you can see that we've got quite a nice smooth topology there. Using these reflective material caps can really help you when you're doing the modeling to make sure everything is smooth and you haven't got any angles where you don't want them. But this all looks pretty good to me so far. Everything's coming along nicely. We can also put it into something slightly less shiny there. So that concludes this part of the tutorial. In the next part, we're going to continue on with the features of the rail, etc. I'm going to be bending in some kind of hydraulic system or pipe at the rear part, so that'll entail extruding along a path. So you don't have to follow this exactly, the same design, you know, you can come up with your own kind of ideas. This just gives you an idea as to how you can use these tools and begin modeling these surfaces and you know, maintaining our hard edges but getting a nice smooth finish. That's our aim when we're doing this hard surface type modeling, is that we always want to keep these hard edges, but we also want to have a nice smooth finish to our shape. So I think you'll agree this is coming out pretty good so far. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time for some more Blender tutorial.